Brought to you by Kellogg's, the folks who bring the best to you each morning. A wide choice of cereals in the forms you like best. Yours from Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now let's all play What's My Line?
And now let's meet our award-winning panel of What's My Line. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And now, I don't very often have a message for Las Vegas, but I have tonight. It's get ready, because Wednesday night at the Sands Hotel, the gentleman who is going to be occupying this chair tonight is going to open as the star of the show, Joey Bishop.
Thank you, Dorothy. And to my left, a young lady who, in addition to all her other duties, is pinch hitting for Bill Cullen on The Price is Right starting tomorrow, Miss Arlene Francis.
And now a gentleman hot from Austin and Fort Worth and Dallas and absolutely exhausted from that southern hospitality, Mr. Bennett, Cerf.
Most elaborate moo-moo I ever saw. And here's our superb newsman and panel moderator and bridegroom, John Charles Daly.
And there I was, fast asleep at the bus stop, and the bus went by. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And although it isn't the first of the year, it's near the first of the year, and we thought we should do something tonight that the panel would always remember. So put your blindfolds on, panel. Thank you very much. This signifies, of course, that we've got some rather strange and inordinate tricks to play on the panel tonight, and we do. We have some very nice people with some very interesting occupations. We'll also have a famous mystery challenger before the panel a little bit later in the show. And we'll meet our first challenger after this word. All right, panel, the blindfolds are all properly in place, are they?
Yep.
Good, then it's time to meet our first challenger. Will you enter and sign in, please? All right, may I ask if you're familiar with the way we keep score on this program?
Definitely.
You're right. Then we'll let the audience at home and those who've been good enough to join us here in the theater know exactly what your line is. All right, panel, needless to say, there is something about our first challenger which suggested to us the need for the blindfolds. It's some element, perhaps, of dress or appearance or character, of anything that you can think of that might have given you too much of a clue, so we've asked you to blindfold yourselves. We will, however, tell you that our first challenger is salaried and deals in a service, and we'll begin the general questioning with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Do you believe that all of us, rather than just one of us, would recognize what you do from something about you?
Probably so.
Probably so?
That's
Yes,
right.
I would say this, with your permission, that there is something that would suggest to all of you at least the general area of identification which incorporates the line of our guest.
All right, John, I won't ask you to repeat that. Do you, in your work, wear any sort of dress that is other than the usual business suit?
Usually we do.
I can't hear.
I can't hear him.
Usually so.
You usually do. Is it termed a uniform?
I'd say yes.
Is it any uniform belonging to any armed force anywhere?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Bishop.
Are you at present wearing that particular uniform?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
Does your service have anything to do with the entertainment world?
I'd say yes.
In a very general way, that would be true.
Do you have anything to do with the world of music?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Does the work that you do require physical dexterity of any sort?
Some people would say yes. I believe so.
Do you ever do any of your work on ice skates?
No. Not this year. Not this year. Next year, maybe. Not this year.
Bennett, I might say it's tough enough as it is without the ice skates. That's 4 down and 6 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, would you say that your work was in the field of athletics or sports?
I'd say so.
Are you a member of a team?
Yes.
Is there more than one person out there?
Maybe he just built like that.
No, only one.
No.
person.
5 down and 5 to go, Mr. Bishop.
Did you recently play in a bowl game?
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Miss Francis.
Oh, would, that rules out basketball then, doesn't
No,
it?
football.
Football, dear. Football.
Well, it's a ball. Oh, I thought you
Bowl
said a
game.
bowl game. I beg your pardon, Joey. Well, is it a sport that is played at the present time?
Yes.
Is it played indoors?
Yes.
Is it basketball?
Yes.
Oh, that tall son of a-
you're that with the
tall guy.
with
Just say
the
the tall-
the Globetrotters? Wilt the Still?
On a technicality, Wilt is not with the Globetrotters. We flip all the rest of the cards over.
I did. I said I used the
Arlene said.
Globetrotters. Then you
Wilt
said
you said Wilt the
He's
Still.
with my home team.
Philadelphia.
Well, Philadelphia. Very
Philadelphia
good, Bennett.
Warriors.
The Philadelphia Warriors. What say, Mr. Bishop?
No, I said Philadelphia Warriors, John. You can't just sit here like a nut and expect to get paid. Not say
Well, how tall are you?
Well, exactly 7 feet and 1/16 of an inch.
You
7
mean
feet, 1/6 and a 16th of an inch.
That's right.
7'1". How do
He
you...
barely fits behind that desk. Do you have to have all special furniture at home, Wilt?
I have none right now. I'll tell you.
Sorry to hear that.
What do you do, well, when you have to take an upper berth? So do you ever try to get into an upper berth?
We usually try to fly, so we, stay off the ground, really.
Dorothy?
I was just going to say that if they ever did decide to move basketball into a bowl, I'm sure that Wilt wouldn't have any trouble at all covering the ground.
Not a bit. Not a bit. I think you could just lie down on the goal line and reach up and flip it into the basket. How many field goals have you scored? Over 1,000, haven't you?
Well, this year, pretty close to 1,000.
Pretty close to 1,000. Well, when I played basketball, it's pretty close to 10, I think, that year, but I'm not sure. Well, it's awfully nice to have you with us, and I know that actually basketball is now one of the most popular sports in the country. What about the records? What about rebounds? How many of those?
Rebounds? Well, last year I had pretty close to 2,000 rebounds.
2,000 rebounds.
That's right.
And that's without any other men on the team, don't forget. Just Wilt and Eddie Gottlieb, the guy who runs the team.
And now, just in case Wilt gets too big for his britches, as we used to say in Britain, they played the Knickerbockers today and lost by 1 point, right?
I was hoping you wouldn't say that.
Thank you, Wilt. It's been nice to have you with us and watch my life. All right, let's see what we can do with the second challenger. Will you enter and sign in, please? Right there.
The girl plays for the Knickerbockers.
Emily V. McAvoy. Is that right? Oh, that's good. Is it Miss or Mrs. McAvoy?
Miss.
Mrs. McAvoy. And where are you from, Mrs. McAvoy?
Lip Brothers.
Lip Brothers? Where do you live, though? What town do you live in?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Oh, good. We just had a Philadelphia Warrior, and now we have a McAvoy. That's very good.
Scotch-Irish.
Would you say Scotch-Irish? I am, too. Would you say hello to the panel?
Well,
Hey, would you come over with me? You know how we keep score, Mrs. McAvoy?
Yes, sir.
All right.
2 makes 4.
2 and 2 makes 4. Well, sometimes. Are you comfortable?
Very.
All right. Then we'll let the audience in the theater and the folks at home know exactly what your line is. All right? All right, panel, we can tell you that Mrs. McAvoy is salaried and deals in a service. And we'll begin the general questioning with Bennett, Cerf.
Mrs. McAvoy, is it Mrs. McAvoy?
Mrs. McAvoy. Mm-hmm.
Did I hear you say you worked for Lit Brothers when you
Yes.
came in? That's a department store on Market Street in Philadelphia, right?
Yes.
Do you work in the store?
Yes.
Does the work that you do bring you into contact with the customers of that store?
Yes.
Are you on the floor in one of the departments of that store?
Like Bennett.
I couldn't get that.
Mr. Cerf wanted to know if you were on the floor in one of the departments of that store.
All over.
All over the store.
So I think we would rule there that Mrs. McAvoy can be on the floor in one of the departments of the store.
Mrs. McAvoy, a lady with a kind face like yours wouldn't be a store detective, would she?
Well, I must say this, Mrs. McAvoy. You were very generous because you did say that you were with the department store. And I'm sure this gave much more of a clue than they should have ever have gotten any other way.
She must have once pinched Bennett.
Oh. Yes, Joey.
That doesn't say too much for Bennett to be able to recognize a detective that quickly, does it?
Well, Joey, I would say that you've got a very legitimate point there because Mrs. McAvoy has been with the store for 64 years, and even today, she apprehends annually about 200 shoplifters and other miscreants. Now, I'm not suggesting that Bennett, has necessarily been involved in this web of crime, but what'd you say, Bennett?
I'd like to ask Mrs. McAvoy, who was the most daring shoplifter you ever found at Lit Brothers?
Bennett, sir. I'm sorry, Bennett. Mr. Cerf wanted to know who was the most daring shoplifter that you ever discovered.
Well, they were all daring.
That's right. All you crooks are alike, Bennett.
They're all daring. You don't know which is which until you put your hands on it.
Well, which one was the most imaginative? Did you ever see one try to take a piano out of the store, for instance, or something like that?
No.
No, sir. What was the biggest thing that you ever saw somebody try to take?
A diamond ring. She took, a colored woman, she took it and she swallowed it and put a phony diamond in the tray. We locked her up.
And we know the rest.
No, I mean big, the biggest object, the biggest thing. Anybody ever try to steal a piano?
No, trunks.
Trunks. Somebody tried to take a trunk?
Yeah, steamer trunk.
A steamer trunk? Was that Bennett's?
Yeah.
Was Bennett? Mrs. McAvoy, may I say that the panel shares this feeling with me. It's wonderful to find somebody as active as you are after all these wonderful and fruitful years. And one thing I can tell just from looking at your face and your eyes, you still enjoy life and have a wonderful sense of humor. It's nice to have had you with us on What's My Line. Thank you very much for coming.
And she hopes that she'll be as happy as I am when she reaches my age. There's a wonderful sense of humor.
I think, Joey, considering what the two of us have said in the last few minutes, that we ought to announce Bennett's never been to Philadelphia.
The moral of that story is if you want to keep looking young, go around pinching people.
We'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment. But first, this word from our sponsor. And now the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity, for which our panel so engagingly and happily puts on the blindfolds once again. Are the blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes. Back on.
Who's coming in now? The woman who stole the diamond?
No, we will now see our mystery celebrity. Will you enter and sign in, please? All right, panel, as you know, in the case of our mystery guest, we go to a different form of questioning. You ask one question at a time, in turn, moving clockwise. And we'll begin it with Arlene Francis.
Are you engaged in the world of entertainment?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Cerf.
Are you appearing now or about to appear in a show on or near Broadway?
No, sir.
1 down and 9 to go. Miss Kilgallen.
Are you very well known for your recordings?
No, ma'am.
2 down and 8 to go. Mr. Bishop.
Are you in a movie that is currently playing on Broadway?
I beg your pardon?
Pardon me?
I beg your pardon?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, you want to go out in the hall and discuss this?
No, sir. I don't have to be excused. I just beg your pardon.
Oh. Are you in a motion picture that is currently playing on Broadway?
No, sir.
That's 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
In the entertainment. Have you been in television?
Sometimes, ma'am.
Mr. Cerf.
Are you related or a close friend of anybody connected with What's My Line?
Oh, no, sir. I wouldn't think of that.
4 down and 6 to go. Now, this is not to rule out the possibility that some or all members of the production staff, the panel, are friends, but you drew a very specific and close relationship.
That's right.
It's 4 down and 6
I'm
to go.
not your wife.
Sound awfully nice, though.
Miss Kilgallen.
Well, are you a performer of any kind?
I hope so, ma'am.
Mr. Bishop.
I do, too.
Are you a glamour girl?
I hope so, sir.
You said you are not at this time appearing in a picture on Broadway. Have you in the past appeared in pictures on Broadway or around the country?
1 or 2, ma'am.
Let me say that that is as fine a piece of understatement as the British ever manufactured, Mr. Cerf.
Have you got any connection whatever with a famous soft drink?
Yes, sir, sir.
Are you Miss Joan Crawford?
Yes.
My daughters are out there for a time.
Oh, fine.
Your sister.
Your daughters are here?
I told you that I was leaving for a week, and how did you guess it?
Because I wondered why you made that so specific.
Because I just came back from Philadelphia today.
Everybody's been to Philadelphia tonight. Have you noticed that?
Except me, John, and I'm from Philadelphia.
Well, you know what they're all down there for, Joey?
No.
Studying law. That's where the Philadelphia lawyer comes from, you know.
That's right.
Yes.
If you think you're going to make me a party to that joke, you're making a big mistake, John.
I hereby dissolve and forever declare void any association that the Philadelphia Mr. Bishop had to do with the Philadelphia lawyer joke. Period. End item. There's one about vacations, no, prizes. No, we don't want to get into that, do we?
Don't
Please,
do that.
John.
Don't do it,
2
John.
weeks in Philadelphia.
I think it's only fair that we
Don't.
should mention the drink. We talked about it, Joan. What is it?
Pepsi-Cola?
Pepsi-Cola, isn't it?
Yeah.
John,
more
please
important,
don't.
the thing we thought that would tip it off was that Miss Joan is going to be on the Zane Grey Theater this coming Thursday, which is where you've all read her name, in a program which is entitled?
What?
On the
And
Zane
One
Grey
Must
Theater.
Die.
And One Must Die. That's
No,
right,
I
on
read
Zane
her
Grey
name
Theater on
just
Thursday
recently.
night.
You're doing some big charitable affair, are you not, Joan?
Yes, a couple, Arlene.
Yes.
Well, I got a nice surprise. Miss Joan just told me her daughters are here and backstage. Would you all like to
She's
meet
a
them?
doll.
Ah,
No,
bring them both
no,
in here.
like twins.
Two of them. Come in.
Cynthia?
Cynthia, how are you?
Kathy.
May I have the honor of presenting to this large group Cynthia and Kathy. And may we say that you have really brightened our show up tonight. And how nice to have you here. Christmas, part of Christmas holiday?
Yes, it is.
Got to go back to work soon.
Tomorrow.
Oh, no. Well, thank you so much for
Mr.
brightening
Daly.
our Christmas and New Year's.
I just want to say God bless you. When you get a date, you always think of Bennett and myself.
Kathy, same to you. Good night. Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you. Right. Happy New Year. Well, you've done, I must say, very well indeed tonight, panel. And we'll have another contestant after this word from our alternate sponsor. And now let's meet our final challenger. Will you enter and sign in, please? Right there. Sasha Burland, is that right? Where are you from, Mr. Burland?
From New York City.
Panel, Mr. Burland, and Mr. Burland is from New York City. Will you join me over here? We're a little bit short of time. You know how we keep score?
Yes.
All right, we'll tell the audience here and the folks at home exactly what your line is. All right, panel. Mr. Burland is self-employed. He deals in a service, and we'll begin the general questioning with Mr. Bishop.
Would both members of both sexes come to you for your services?
I hope so, yes.
Would the one come perhaps more than the other?
No.
Not necessarily. 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Are they human beings?
Yes, at times, yes.
Do they feel better after they've had your services?
I hope so, yes.
Do you in any way touch them?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Burland, when they come to you, are they confronted with a special problem?
Yes, yes, usually.
Is it a problem that affects their well-being rather than their health?
Yes, if well-being encompasses all those areas about which we would have deep interest except health.
That excludes dental work or ocular services
Yes.
or things of that sort. Is it something that might affect their minds?
Yes.
There are those who say it does, but I don't think it necessarily applies, although we'll give you a qualified yes.
Do you need special training for the work that you do, Mr.
Yes.
Burland? Do you have to get a degree of some sort to do the work
It
that
helps,
you do?
but it's not necessary.
Not necessary. 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Are any of these people sent to you as opposed to coming to you voluntarily?
No. I would say they come voluntarily.
So I'm afraid we've run out of time, which is too bad because this would be real fun. You may now meet the gentleman who has written the theme, the opening theme for What's My Line. He writes TV commercial jingles. More than that, because this actually is something we know more about, I think that the public would know Mr. Burland even better because he also wrote The Nutty Squirrels.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that
thank
wonderful.
heaven.
I wish we'd had more time, Mr. Burland, because I think we could have stuck the panel. So I flipped all the cards over, but thank you very much for being
Thank
a
you. It's
guest
been a
on What's
pleasure.
My Line.
Burland,
Nice
you
to have
should
you
feel
with
very
us.
much at home with Mr. Daly.
Oh, yes.
Go over and see the squirrel now. Thank you. And now, very quickly, may I say, nice to be back with you all. Nice to see you, Joey, and good night, Miss Kilgallen.
Good night, John. Good night, Joey.
Thank you, Dorothy. Good night, Arlene.
Good night, dear. Happy Caribbean. Good night.
Glad you're back, Dorothy. Night, John.
Good night, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us on What's My Line?
What's My Line is a CBS television network production in association with Mark Goodson and Bill Todman.
What's bringing up Buddy tomorrow on most of these stations?